Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video. Today we are doing my final video of 2024. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos later this year. So before we get into what we're going to talk about today, I want to give a shout out to everyone that has supported the channel throughout this year. I'm recording this video on the 31st of December 2024 and it's going to come out before the end of the year. So I really appreciate all the support, especially with Superman and Lois's final season. The videos did great, and obviously since Superman and Lois has ended, we've had to pivot to focus on some other DC content. And of course, like I've been saying recently, let me know what do you want to see me cover in the future. It doesn't have to be DC. We can do some Harry Potter stuff, we can do any other type of content that you guys are interested in, TV shows, films, theories, analysis, stuff like that. I'm open to anything. That's why we changed the name to Ben's Take, because I want to give my take on different stuff rather than just DC, although of course that's our main focus. But yeah, let's get into today's main topic. So we're going to be talking about James Gunn's DC Studios and what they can learn from the late Arrowverse. So this is an article that I am reading from Collider. The title of the article is "The DCU Shouldn't Forget Its Television Roots." We're going to be breaking that down. Also, there's a CBR article which is titled "Creature Commando Secretly Repeats the Arrowverse's Biggest Mistake." So we're going to get into that and lots more throughout this video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the Collider article. So this is how the article goes. Creature Commandos, our introduction to James Gunn's DCU, is a hit with viewers and critics alike, something that bodes well for his vision. With Superman upcoming onto the big screen, a second season of Peacemaker, and a new entry, Lanterns, on the small screen, things are looking up, up and away. Even Gunn's explanations of canon versus non-canon are starting to come into focus, making a little more sense along the way. But if Gunn is wise, the DCU would do well to remember and celebrate its television roots by keeping the Arrowverse alive. So the subtitle that comes next is "DC flourished on TV when the DCEU floundered," which I completely agree with, and so let's get into this. So in 2012, the Arrowverse kicked off with the premiere of Arrow, a series centered around DC's second-tier hero Green Arrow, played by Stephen Amell. 9 months later, Warner Bros. Launched the DCEU with Zack Snyder's Man of Steel featuring Henry Cavill as Superman. Two different mediums with two different initiatives were kept segregated save for their concurrent timelines. For one, the first tier superheroes were off limits, that being for the Arrowverse of course, as was the first tier budget, and for the other, the DC Trinity and the other big hitters from DC Comics were being afforded the budget to take on the rival MCU. So the DCEU had access to infinite resources, but the Arrowverse had very limited resources and was even limited about what characters they could use. So conventional wisdom suggests that the DCEU would be so far ahead of the Arrowverse in terms of quality and reception that the latter would look like a cheap knockoff at best, and by rights that should have been the case. The opposite was true though. The Arrowverse started off strong with Arrow and built a franchise that was engaging and quirky and serious when it needed to be, and the DCEU's first entry received mixed reviews and courted controversy, and the franchise as a whole offered a few outright winners like Wonder Woman and Aquaman, but otherwise proved to be largely disappointing. Adding insult to injury, the Arrowverse was pulling off amazing effects on a TV budget, successfully delivering major crossover events like Crisis on Infinite Earths, a crossover event that honored DC's TV past with small nods to Smallville and Super Friends. Meanwhile, the DCEU was being mocked mercilessly over things like Cavill's off-putting CGI mustache removal for Justice League, and somehow it got even worse with the Arrowverse introducing a definitive Flash with Grant Gustin and a near-definitive Superman with Tyler Hoechlin, nailing the only two A-list superheroes they had access to, while their big screen counterparts paled in comparison. Because when you look at Grant Gustin compared to Ezra, you're obviously going to go for Grant Gustin. It's a bit more of a debate between Tyler and Henry, because I know a lot of people love Henry, but he wasn't always in the best films. I think what Zack Snyder did with him was good, but then when he was in, Joss Whedon's version of Justice League, again, that was just an absolute joke. and there was different approaches to the character depending on who made the film, whereas Tyler's Superman stayed pretty consistent throughout the Arrowverse. And so the next subtitle in the article is "The DCU's TV roots are right up James Gunn's alley." So the Arrowverse wasn't the only group of DC TV projects keeping DC Comics in the public eye either. Doom Patrol, Gotham, Harley Quinn, Teen Titans Go are just a handful of projects that graced or continue to grace the small screen before the DCEU whimpered away with Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. There simply has to be something that the DCU can do to acknowledge its appreciation for how these series satisfied DC fans when the film division was doing what it could, seemingly to piss them off. Which is a very good line, and I agree with that. So, that said, there is arguably no better person than Gunn to champion these projects in his own DCU. Series like Doom Patrol and Legends of Tomorrow have peripheral characters and outright outlandishness that Gunn delights in, and can you imagine what he could do with Bebo, they say. Constantine's John Constantine, played by Matt Ryan, who we've obviously seen in many projects, is a natural to slide into the world of Creature Commandos. If he doesn't already have someone in mind for that role down the road, Gunn would delight fans by bringing in Grant Gustin as the DCU's Flash, or even Brandon Routh as the Kingdom Come Superman he played in Crisis on Infinite Earths. So just quickly on that, I actually think out of anyone in the Arrowverse, if they were to show up, probably Matt Ryan is the most likely, just because he really nailed Constantine, and he didn't just play Constantine in the Arrowverse, he played Constantine many times in the DC animated universe, and they've always brought him back for certain Constantine appearances over the years since he first played the character, so he's actually in more than just the Arrowverse. So I could totally see, if they do like a Justice League Dark or a Constantine project, Matt Ryan returning as Constantine, because he's a fan favorite as well. But of course the main pick, Grant Gustin, it makes sense. We know James Gunn is a fan, and we've seen the struggles that Ezra faced when being compared to Grant Gustin, because Grant is the perfect Flash. I think we can all agree on that. Like, there is no one person that could be better as the Flash or as Barry Allen than him, because he really made the Flash and Barry Allen his own role. So that would be great further along down the line, of course, and nothing has been confirmed, but we know Grant is interested. But it depends if James Gunn wants to pay homage to the Arrowverse, or if he wants to start with a completely new slate. It doesn't need to be the same version of Barry Allen, but if it was, that would be insane. So he hasn't even really cracked open the DC's multiverse, so the means of recognizing these series is already built into the DC mythos. So Mr. Gunn, if you're reading this or listening, let's make it happen, even if it's just a Bebo versus Peacemaker battle, and that is Collider's plea. So I really like this article, I had a good time reading it. What do you guys think of that? I totally agree with the article that the DCU should not forget its television roots and should not forget the impact of what the DC shows did over all these years, really helping prop up these characters. Like, I don't think, and I stand by this, we would be getting a Supergirl film soon, which is going to start filming in a few weeks' time with Millie Alcock playing Supergirl for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, if it wasn't for the popularity of Melissa Benoist's Supergirl in the Arrowverse. So DC owes a lot to the Arrowverse, and I think at some point they will pay homage to it, whether that's by bringing Matt Ryan in, or Grant Gustin in, or someone like that, or just paying homage to it. I think they will at some point, and we know that James Gunn is a fan, but it's just not going to happen early on, guys. Don't expect it. Okay, so the last part of this video is going to be to do with the CBR article. Again, this is titled "Creature Commando Secretly Repeats the Arrowverse's Biggest Mistake." So this is how the article goes. With its short season, Creature Commandos risk making the opposite mistake fans claim the Arrowverse on the CW often made. Not counting title and credit sequences, each episode of Creature Commandos usually runs for about 20 minutes. While this is normal for animation, it's not a lot of narrative space to flesh out an ensemble of characters with backstory, continued development, and the larger plot of the series. This means that by the time of the finale, the series could feel less like a complete chapter and more like an outline brought to life. Each of the villains on the team has a rich backstory in the comics and presumably this corner of the DC multiverse as well. The episodes that delve into these backstories, such as G.I. Robot's history, sacrifice narrative progression to do so. Not enough episodes is ironically the opposite problem the Arrowverse had, whose fans often decried filler episodes in the middle of the seasons, but there is a fine line between filler episodes and telling a complete story. So this is what the article is trying to argue. There is an argument to be made that filler episodes don't actually exist. In many cases, these episodes avoid larger plot developments to focus on character or some unique fun concept. When it comes to long-running franchises like Star Trek, one person's filler episode is another's favorite story of all time. Still, a shorter season forces producers to make the story compact and more efficiently using what screen time they get. The Arrowverse experienced this when greenlit spin-offs like Black Lightning or Batwoman only produced 13 episodes rather than 23 to 26 like the other Arrowverse shows used to do. So basically what this article is trying to say is, by not having enough episodes and by having such short episodes, Creature Commandos could risk being like a half-baked first season, and I think this is actually a big risk. Now, Creature Commandos has been fun so far. I think all of you guys can agree it's a good show, like what I'm seeing, but by having a longer season, as we saw in the Arrowverse, that allows fans to get fully into the shows and fully into the characters specifically, because the filler episodes obviously act as a way of adding backstory to characters, getting to know them better, and by the end of the show they almost feel like a family to you, that being like Team Flash or Team Supergirl or Team Arrow. And obviously Superman and Lois kind of cracked it. They didn't need to have a bunch of filler episodes. Maybe they had like 1 or 2 per season, but they all felt very relevant to the story because obviously Superman and Lois was very streamlined. It was like 10 to 15, 16 episodes absolute maximum. And with Creature Commandos, I understand the worry that, you know, you got such a short season, short episodes. What are we going to leave the show thinking about all these characters? Like, are we going to be very connected, or are we just going to look forward to seeing more of them because we didn't get enough of them? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below, but for now, that does it for this video. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment. It would really help this video get out there. Also subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you for a great 2024. Hopefully you guys have a happy new year. I'll be back tomorrow for more content. So thank you for watching. Click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.